Our next guest says there's actually plenty of oil to go around. In fact, he says the current record high price makes it easier to get more of it out of the ground.
Dr. Nansen Saleri is president and CEO of Quantum Reservoir Impact. He's joining us from Houston. Welcome, Professor. Thank you for coming on.
Well, thank you very much. It's a pleasure for me.
Well, we are really happy to have you, but the first thing I thought of when you say that we have plenty of oil is we feel that we know that. It's just that it's in areas that make it very difficult to deal with, such as some unstable countries. So what is the premise here? Great, we have enough oil, but we can't get to it, or it's manipulated through all kinds of saber rattling.
Yeah, I think you're making an excellent point. And the comment I would make is that from a global perspective, when you have a production of 86 million barrels per day globally, obviously some of that production is coming from relatively unstable regions of the world. But that's just a fact of life. It doesn't take away from the fact that from a planet's perspective, there's plenty of supplies for the foreseeable future, which is the main point that I want to make.
Well, it's at it closed today at about $105.12. It may settle a little, but $105. At $105 for a barrel of oil, are there going to be attempts to get oil from sources that previously had been too expensive to go to?
Yeah, I think, Dave, you're making an excellent point. You don't even need $105 to increase the global efficiency of recoveries. When you look at the performance of the industry globally, we typically, as an industry, recover only 1 out of 3 barrels. And I believe personally, and there are many others in the industry who share my view, that we can certainly increase the recovery efficiency of the process, and especially in prices in excess of $100, there's no question that efficiency is going to go up, and the process of transforming to a far more efficient process in itself is going to accelerate. We're already seeing the evidence in many parts of the world, particularly in the Middle East. Saudi Arabia is one, where production performances of the fields have benefited significantly from both prices and new technologies.
Okay, Doctor, stand by if you would. We're going to bring in our panel and continue this discussion that you've helped us spark. Jonas Max Ferris, I'd like to start with you. Great. Efficiency, great. Enough oil, fantastic. It's still, for no reason except for the lower dollar, higher, above $100 a barrel. People are suffering. Are you just staving off the inevitable by extracting more of a finite resource?
Well, eventually there won't be any oil. There is going to be a peak, and I think what the other guy's saying is right, because he said it in the Wall Street Journal a few days ago. It's not tomorrow. It's not even in 5 years. It's probably 20 or 30 years away. There's no reason for $105 oil other than mostly speculation at this point and a slightly overheated economy in emerging markets in China and things. But when you look at our economy slowing, and we're the big consumer of oil, it's not going to. It's all of a sudden something's going to break, and you're going to see it plummet when all these gamblers essentially get out of this market and deleverage. The point he's making is excellent, which is, I think he said in his article, 90% of the world's oil is controlled by state governments like Venezuela. How efficient do you think Hugo Chavez is about extracting oil out of the ground, or OPEC, or some of these countries in producing the most they could actually get out of this? So granted, it's going to be in their hands forever, but they're going to have to get more and more efficient 10, 15, 20 years down the road.
We can't depend on them. We cannot depend on them or certain Arab countries, certainly not Iran.
Right. And Dr. Saleri, you say in the article that we've already consumed about 1 trillion barrels, the human race, since the history of our race has begun. We have another 12 trillion barrels to go. Is it going to be more difficult to get oil in the future, or less so?
No, I mean, the short answer of it is I think it's going to be less difficult for the very simple reason that technologies have made an incredible progress. Just like every aspect of our lives of our lives have been impacted by technology. The same event is going on in the reservoirs. So
So even though you have all these inefficient oil companies that Jonas was talking about, you still will have more efficient means of extracting the oil, and that will counteract the global instability.
Absolutely. Inefficiency goes everywhere. And it's not only a monopoly of national oil companies. Some of the other independents, as well as larger companies, are also inefficient. On average, globally, the industry is only recovers 1 out of 3 barrels. There is no way but to move up, and this will have very positive consequences for the global economy. That's my main point.
Kevin Kerr, you have traded commodities, you've traded oil, you know all about this. At $106 a barrel, do you even try and fathom, well, what if Iran is difficult, or what about Venezuela, or how come we're not getting better refinery capacity? At some point, do you just look at this and say there is absolutely, it just befuddles you?
Well, it all befuddles me, but the bottom line is a lot of the good points have just been made. And I don't want to disagree with Dr. Saleri, except I will. The bottom line is we can have this advanced technology. It's going to cost a lot more money. It's going to cost a lot more money, as you were pointing out, to dig deeper, to get to there is no more light sweet crude oil, no more fields of easy to get to oil that we're going to find, even with the best technology. So we're going to have technology that's not only more advanced to get deeper, to get this oil, we're going to get more of the sour crudes, more expensive to refine.
All right. Well, there is the balance of this argument. Nansen Saleri, we thank you very much for coming in. Appreciate it. Fascinating studies you've done, and we will see more of our panel in a moment.
Well, some of us are contending still with snow and cold, but April just around the corner.